What's up guys, it's MTG Matt for you, back with another Adventures in the Forgotten Realms video. And today we're going into the ladder in Standard 2022 actually. So Wizards of the Coast gave us this treat that you can already check out what Standard might look like after rotation in September. Which obviously I think everybody's looking forward to. And the format is pretty cool. I've tried it already a little bit, and one thing I've observed is that the format seems to be a lot slower, right? For example, like Mono Red loses stuff like Annex and most notably Ambercleave, and just in general the format after rotation seems to be more chill, and you have the opportunity to, you know, play games with decks that focus more on the late game, I would say. And you can just try out a lot of new cool stuff. So if you're interested in that, I highly recommend you already check out Standard 2022. And you might want to use this deck that I built. And I think it's a very fun and enjoyable deck. It's an experiment, so let's get into it and let me tell you what the whole idea is about. The whole idea of this deck started with 2 new lands from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. For one, we have Holo Storm Giants here, which is the blue man land, enters the battlefield tapped if you control 2 or more other lands. So if you play it early, it's still untapped. And then you can pay 6 mana to turn it into a 7/7 giant creature with ward 3. And I was looking at this land, I was pretty fascinated by it because sure, we have stuff like Faceless Haven in Standard already. And we have Crawling Barrens, which is also a powerful manland, but the thing about Crawling Barrens is that you need to invest a lot of mana over time, right, to get it to a reasonable size. Whereas Holo Storm Giants is immediately big, right, and it's got Ward 3, which is actually very, very relevant. So I was thinking, maybe you could build like a Simic deck, where one of your win conditions or your main win condition is just turning these man lands into creatures and then smashing your opponent's face, right? And the other man land in Simic colors is Lair of the Hydra, which is also really, really good because this can become an infinitely big creature depending on how much mana you have, right? You get a XX Green Hydra creature token or XX Green Hydra land creature, that is to say. And yeah, that was the whole idea, right? We have these 2 pretty powerful man lands, and let's try to build a deck that you know, takes advantage of them. And I've come up with this Simic Ramp deck here that has landfall synergies, right? But mainly tries to just get a lot of lands out there quickly to be able to afford paying the activation cost of Holo Storm Giants or Lair of the Hydra, and then just win from there. That's the whole idea. So let's go through the cards here one by one. In the 1-drop slot, we got Neverwinter Dryad, a 2-off. It's also a new card from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. It's a 1/1. You can pay 2 to sack it, to search your library for a basic forest card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. This ramps us, which our deck wants to do. And I've chosen Neverwinter Dryad over Emergent Sequence. Emergent Sequence is a spell from Strixhaven. For 2 mana that lets you search a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield as a creature. And while this also ramps you, my experience has been with Emergent Sequence that your creature land oftentimes just gets removed, so you actually don't ramp that way, right? You just lost the land. And Neverwinter Dryad, why she basically costs 1 more, because you have to pay 1 to play her and then 2 to sacrifice her. She's just more reliable, right? Because you can play her on turn 1 and then turn 2 you sack her and you get the land onto the battlefield that actually stays there. So that's why I really liked her better over Emergent Sequence. In a 1-drop slot, we've got also 3 copies of Team Pennant, which I'll talk about last, because it's a crucial component to this deck, but it's easier to understand why I put this card in here when we finish talking about the rest of the cards. Then 2-drop slot, we got 4 Lotus Cobras, pretty self-explanatory, right? If you have a lot of land for synergies, great creature, you play a land, you get an additional mana for a turn. Then we got 4 copies of Druid class, which I'm really happy about. You know, I've always been a fan of this land deck archetype where you use your lands to win the game. I think that's a pretty cool concept. And Druid class plays right into that fascination. It's an enchantment class, also from AFR, for 2 mana, which says whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Very relevant against aggro. This actually adds up a lot, especially if you put multiple lands on the battlefield per turn, or if you have multiple copies of Druid class on board. Then you can level up for 3 mana to level 2, which says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. This is mostly actually not that relevant. From time to time, depending on the game state, you might even want to play Druid class on 2 and then level up on 3 because you've got nothing better to do with your mana. That might happen, but most level 3 is not that important for this deck. It's just a nice bonus. But then we got level 3 for 5 mana, and on level 3, when this class becomes level 3, you choose a land and it becomes a creature with haste, and this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. So Druid class basically is another win condition in the likes of Hollow Storm Giants and Lair of the Hydra, because with level 3 we can use one of our lands to make it a big creature, right? Turn it into a big threat. So Druid class is also another way to win the game, and I really like this enchantment, it's really cool. Then in the 3-drop slot we got 4 copies of Roiling Regrowth. In Standard 2022 there's no more Cultivate, so Roiling Regrowth is now the 3 mana ramp option that you have. At instant speed you sacrifice a land and then you search the library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them both onto the battlefield tapped. So you effectively net 1 extra land with this spell. But not only that, you put 2 lands onto the battlefield in the turn you play this, which means that this synergizes extremely well with land forest synergies, right? Such as Lotus Cobra, obviously, and such as Cosima, of which we have 3 of. Cosima, just an amazing card. I love the design of her. Let's just repeat what she's doing. You play her, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, you can choose to exile her, and if you exile her, every time you play a land, you can choose to either put a counter on her or return her to the battlefield. And when you eventually return her to the battlefield, you draw cards equal to the number of counters on her, and those counters also count as 1/1 counters. So she comes back as quite a big creature, right? And you notice she starts out as a 2/4 stat line, so if you put some 1/1 counters on her, she becomes very resilient because her toughness is going to be quite high. So Cosima can occasionally become a threat, but mostly she's there to draw cards, and she does so very efficiently because if you can play her on turn 3 and then exile her on turn 4, you can really start putting out lands, right? Because on turn 4, you might start playing your Quandrix Cultivators, you might cast your Roiling Regrowth, and you will just put a lot of lands on the battlefield, and then eventually, if you choose to bring her back, she can easily draw you anywhere from 3 up to like 7-8 cards, right? So she is a really good card draw engine in this deck. Speaking of 4-drops, Quandrix Cultivator 4-off, just a nice ram card. Also, 4 mana for 3/4 body is actually quite nice for blocking. That's pretty cool. And then we got 3 copies of Toskin here, which might seem a bit odd in this deck at first glance. The reason I have this card here is that this deck ran through a lot of iterations, and what I realized was that this deck was losing hard to hardcore control decks such as a Dimir control list, because this deck needs some time to set itself up, right? And when you're in a spot where you haven't really gotten a chance to set yourself up, and your opponent just either removes every value creature you play, such as Cosima, all your or counters every spell, you don't really have a way to get back into the game. Even your man lands can eventually be removed sometimes, or by the time you can activate your man lands, it's usually too late because your opponent might have a Planeswalker out there that gives him value and so on. So for those matchups, I was looking for a 4-drop that can do well against control decks, and Toski is perfect because it can be countered and is indestructible. So two very important aspects there to be good against the control deck. And not only that, but the way this deck plays out is that you often dump your hand very fast, right? Because you play lands, you might even play extra lands, and then you just ramp and so forth, and you have this bunch of mana, and then suddenly you're just left with 2 cards in hand. So this deck really benefits from having a lot of options to draw cards, and besides Cosima, Toski is just another way of drawing cards. It actually works really well, because occasionally we can even activate Lair of the Hydra. Just put it here. Occasionally we can even just turn Lair of the Hydra in just a 1/1 for 2 mana, just to get an extra card with Toski. So Toski was actually a very important and excellent addition to this deck. Yeah, it's really cool that I found this option. I think it fitted perfectly. It was the perfect solution for what I was trying to find against control decks. Then on 5 drop we got 3 copies of Imrith Desert Doom. Just an excellent card in general. I just love this card, this concept. It's probably one of the best cards from AFR. And yeah, Imrith is card draw, but also Imrith benefits from the fact that our hand is often very, very empty. So Imrith can often draw us more than 1 card, which is really, really cool. So it's just 5 mana 5/5, ward 4 as long as it's untapped. And when you deal combat damage to your player, you draw a card or even more, depending on your hand size. Then we have 4 copies of Cyclone Summoner, which is really, how would I say, besides the mana lands, this is one of the superstars of this deck. Costs 7 mana, but since we're a ramp deck, getting to 7 mana is not that difficult. It's the 7 mana 7/7 giant wizard, and when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, very important by the way, return all permanents to their owner's hands except for giants, wizards, and lands. Now, if we have this card is perfect because blue and green don't have traditional board wipes, right? Like the traditional board wipe colors are white, black, and then damage-based red, but blue and green don't really have board wipes that destroy stuff. But you can bounce everything with Cyclone Summoner, which is really important for this deck to, you know, just reset the board if your opponent is very creature-based and very aggro-y. And also, if we have a mana land created by Druid class, this won't get bounced, right? Because it doesn't bounce lands. And also works well with all the other mana lands. So 4 of here, very important piece to this deck, as you bounce everything from the board and then you're left with a 7/7. And you're left with an empty board, so if you have mana left over, you can even get in there with a Lair of the Hydra, for example. So this is a very important piece to the deck. And now, that's basically the deck. I've already teased this card here from the beginning, which I wanted to explain last. Team Pennant. Let's read it first. It's a 1 mana artifact equipment, which says, equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has vigilance and trample. Equipped creature token 1 and equip cost 3. Why is this in here? Why is this equipment that never sees play in here? So, this deck has one big downside, or one big problem, and that is, we are trying to kill our opponent with big creatures, right? We are trying to activate our Hall of Storm Giants, or we want to activate our Lair of Hydra to be really big, and we just want to punch our opponent in the face with that. The problem with that is that it doesn't matter if you have a 7/7, it doesn't matter if you have an 8/8 Lair of the Hydra. If your opponent plays a deck, mainly like Widowbloom colors or Rakdos colors, right? Which play stuff like Pests or like the new annoying little 1-drop creatures from AFR, such as the Shambling Gas, for example. It doesn't matter that we have a 7/7. We can just block our big creatures all day long with a small pests, and we never get through that wall, right? And because of that, it's really important that our deck has an option to give our creatures trample. And I was looking for the cardboard of Standard 2022, and the only reliable way to give your creatures trample is Team Pennant, right? The only, let's say, repeatable way to give your creatures trample. And this is one of the downsides of this deck. That's why this is more of an experiment, because obviously Team Pennant is suboptimal. Sure, it gives your creatures trample, but you have to equip it every time, and the equipment falls off when your land creatures turn back into lands and so forth. What's a cool, neat accidental synergy is that it also gives vigilance. So if you equip your Imrith for it, your Imrith never gets tapped, so it has always ward 4, which is pretty neat. But yeah, this is the main downside of this deck, and you know, when rotation comes in September, we will obviously also get a new set in the forms of, I think it's called Innistrad Midnight Hunt. And I want to look out for any reliable way in green, obviously, green or blue, but mostly green, that can give your creatures trample, right? Some kind of enchantment. For example, right now in Standard we have Garruk's Uprising for 3 mana, which would be great for this deck, but unfortunately there's no such thing in Standard 2022 yet. So maybe in future expansions we will receive another way, another like aura type card, aura in the way that affects all your creatures, right, like enchantment, that can give your creatures reliable trample. I think even some kind of planeswalker that can give your creatures trample would be great. So we'll have to look out for that. For now we only have Team Pennant, and it's actually very crucial, so we have 3 copies of it in here. And yeah, that's why this is in here. That's the deck. Concerning the land base, you can't really see because of my face, it's nothing wild. The only notable thing is that we run 2 copies of Evolving Wilds. No more failed passages in Standard 2022. So just 2 copies of Evolving Wilds, because this can, you know, trigger Lotus Cobra multiple times, put more triggers on Cosima. So that's really neat. And that's the deck. I really had fun playing with this. I think it's a very cool, interesting archetype. And you can do a lot of experiments with this. For example, an obvious thing you could try to add in here is Scoot Swarm, right? I haven't played Scoot Swarm in stack because it's not the way I intend to win games, but it's certainly a possibility, especially with Toski. So try this deck, it's really fun to play. Hope you guys enjoy the videos, and I see you guys soon. Alright, let's go into Standard 2022 with a new Simic Ramp deck. Still very experimental, it's far from optimized, but I do think that the idea is very interesting and the archetype is really cool to play. Okay, we can actually keep this. Yeah, fetch a 3 mana for Druid class here. Evolving Wilds. Okay. Then we can go Hall of Storm Giants. So this... Oh, okay, this is Rakdos colors. So the matchup where there are a lot of small creatures, it's really important that we find our Team Pennant that can give creatures vigilance and trample. Mostly the vigilance is important. Sorry, the trample is important. So that we can just trample over these small creatures, otherwise an Eye Witch just blocks our 7/7 giant. Right. Next turn we go Cultivator. Yeah, it's exactly this kind of matchup is very annoying. Take action here. Our island. Take action. And given that we have so many resources here, I'm gonna grab another forest. Take action. And already When we get Cosima back, it draws us 2 cards, but I think we can get even more here. Next time we put down Imrith, which is really nice because, as you can see, we're already starting to run low on cards. 5 mana, I'm gonna have 6 mana next turn. And you know, card draw combined with Druid class, where you can play an additional land on each of our turns. Can be super nice. Okay, we definitely go Imrith here. Play a land. I'm still putting counters on there, and I'll just attack you. Now this draws us 3 cards. Imrith is gone. What we can do next turn is upgrade the Druid class so we can play both of our islands. And this way we can put on 1 more Voyage card on Cosima before getting her back. And then drawing 4 cards instead of 3. Yeah, this seems reasonable. So we upgrade the Druid class here. Play an island. Put another counter on there and then get Cosima back. Look at that, we got the Rolling Regrowth. Still got 5 mana available. Unfortunately, there's no way of playing Lotus Cobra and Roiling Regrowth. Could just upgrade the Druid class here. There's not really a point in playing Roiling Regrowth. I'm just gonna upgrade this. Get a big ass island. It's an 8/8. Sure, it's got no protection, but we're not really worried about having lands for now. Because of Druid class. And it's just another threat he has to answer. And now we would be really happy to find our 2 penance. Because this Wall of Pests just can block all these 8/8, 7/7s easily. Next time we can just attack with Cosima. Oh no, right, we have to exile her in the beginning of our upkeep. Maybe I shouldn't have attacked with the Cultivator here. But we definitely exile Cosima because the card draw is too important. And I think we can actually have a disgusting turn here. So let's play our whole first. Take action. Gain green. Play the island. Take action, gain green. Now we play a regrow. Second island. Get a forest and an island. Take action. Get green, blue, because why not? Then we regrowth again. Sack a forest. Get an island and a forest. Take action once, and then on the second one we decline and draw how many cards? 5 cards. And look, we can play an Imrith, so let's get some blue going. We can even play the Emergent Sequence. The sequence is pretty sick here. Oh. Okay, never mind. We can still play Imrith. And now we attack with 12/12. See, and this is the reason we need Trample, because otherwise these small creatures just block our stuff and it's just annoying. Many treasure. Interesting. I thought he would lead one of the Lotus Cobras. Maybe one thing this deck is missing is actually Skill Swarm. Right? I mean, wonder what you could cut for the Smooth Swarm. Okay, we don't really care about Tilt here. Okay, Cosima's gone, it's fine. The only thing annoying here is the eye twitch, actually. Man, we need Trample. We need it badly. Yeah, and this is one of those awkward spots where you just can't use our mana. Trying to go face here. Why didn't I attack with Silent? Yeah, I think we definitely need 3 team cannons, because in a matchup like this, we're just looking for it and we can't find it. We can, we definitely play the lair. I think I don't play any lands here. He's still missing the mana for his Mascot Exhibition. And 3D Mascot Exhibition actually looks pretty sick. I like that. Yeah, you got the lair, that's fine. That is fine. What we need here is the Team Pennant. Team Pennant, for those of you who don't know, it's a 1-mana artifact that gives an equipped creature +1/+1 and Vigilance and Trample. And it's perfect for his deck because Imrith with Vigilance always has Ward 4, and giving a 30/13 island Trample is very important in a matchup like this, because as you can see, we'll never get through this wall of pests. Even with our Hall of Storm Giants. Oh, that is interesting. That is very interesting. Okay, what we can do here is we can play 2 lands first to get the mana from Lotus Cobra. And I'm just gonna get blue mana because I want to play Cyclone Summoner and Imrith. Right? Now play the Summoner. There's no point in attacking, it's just gonna block. Also get our Cosima back. And now... Oh! And now we got lethal. Oh, let's go. Oh, we don't. Well, we do, but... Yeah, let's go. Man, that felt really good. Sure, this island doesn't get bounced. Hell yeah. Okay. So... this actually is a very decent hand. We're going first. And we can have a turn 2 Lotus Cobra into turn 3 Quandix Cultivator. Yeah, that works. Okay, so we either get an untapped land, right, then we can play the Cultivator, or play the Evolved Wilds, get double trigger from the Cobra. What's even better is that the Cultivator will trigger Cobra again. We're getting an island here. And we can get a green to cast another with the Dryad. That's a really good turn. And now we're potentially looking at Imrith next turn. Opponent's playing really slowly here, which is good for us, but I've played against like Boros Dragon decks before, and they seem to be very good and very explosive. But Imrith is certainly great here. Wait, if we crack the Dryad, we can still play Imrith, right? Yeah. That's pretty cool. Just use all of our mana here. As you can see in the stack, we empty our hand pretty fast. So that's why Imrith is great here, and also all the other card draw options that we have. We also draw cards with Cosima, which obviously has synergies with landfall triggers. And then there is also Toski, which can also draw some more cards. Yeah. Then now he's buffing, right? But I don't think I block him, because card draw is way more important. And we can actually get down to just one card here, which means that we're gonna draw a card from Imrith. Second forest and an island. And we have too much mana, but it's fine. And we draw 2 cards. Perfect. Another Imrith is great in case we lose this one. And Druid class can give us a big beater. So if we see, so you can buff this by +2. Man, that's 12 damage. That's actually a lot. Can he somehow kill us here? He can't level up the Paladin class, that's for sure. So if he attacks, he goes up to 9, and then we still have lethal. So I guess that's why he's hesitant here to attack. I mean, he can just attack with the adult Gold Dragon, but he actually goes up to 10. And then if I were to swing... Yeah. So now, if I attack with everything here, he will obviously block the Imrith, right? Because if he blocks Cultivator, we still have lethal. So he has to block Imrith here, and he loses the Goldspan Dragon. And now, let's play our second Imrith here. I don't know. I mean, yeah, he can kill Imrith. There's no way. I mean, he can give this double strike, like the adult Gold Dragon. But it's fine, even if he gives us double strike, this doesn't have trample, so he still just gains 7 life. And yeah, we have lethal then. Like double strike makes no difference here because our Emerith dies on the first swing anyway. And he has no trample, so he still only gets one strike here to get through. Now he dies on the swing back, right? Because it's 6 damage, 8 damage, 10. So unless he has a way to kill one of these guys, he's dead. GG. Yeah. That went really well, actually. Oh, but that's fine. This is fine. Okay, we go. Better dual task always feels good. Control Cosima is also great if it can stick. But against Demir might be difficult. Let's see if this can stick. I mean against Demir control it shouldn't stick, right? Very unlikely. He's not. Does he let Cosima exile? Oh, that's so good. Having a turn 3 Cosima that's allowed to exile is big. Because it guarantees us card draw, right? Especially with these rolling regrowths. I wanna see if there's responses, because if not... Okay, nice, because now we can cast the regrowth without possibly getting countered here. We missed our land drop, but it's still fine. Can go Cultivator next turn, and we already have 2 counters with Cosima. What's cool with regrowth is that on at instant speed you can get Cosima back at your opponent's end step. And then you can immediately exile her again, right? Play this Cobra. I want to play Cobra and then Cultivator for maximum value. Nice. I'm not gonna draw this Cosima in my end, it's just unnecessary. We have enough plays. Don't know if our opponent's AFK, but he just discarded a card. Okay. Played. Still got a Cobra on the board, and soon can draw more cards with Cosima. Let's try to attack first. We're missing our land drops here, which sucks because we actually have 26 lands in the deck. Back by 0. Could I even play a second Cosima here? That's good execution. Okay. Go, finally a land. I think I want to play second Cosima here. Okay, let's attack here. Last thing about Cosima is that we can choose when we want to bring her back, right? So you can actually have 2 of her in exile and then decide if you have a landfall trigger which one of those you want to get back. Sure. Let's get forest here. I'm still putting counters on Cosima, but we have almost guaranteed land drops with rolling regrowth, and then we can refill our hand and get a big Cosima, right, with like 5, 6, 7 counters on her. Okay, perfect. It's nice because now the regrowth can be countered. And wow. Evolving Wild is actually sick here. Because you can put even more counters on our dear Cosima. Still more counters. Get another resource. And now we'll be drawing. Going 8 cards. Put 1 more counter on her, and then we decline and bring her back for 8 cards. That's a 10, well. Pretty good. I was hoping for an Imrith here. I think I'm playing Tolsky and I'll attack here. I don't know when to play Cosima here because I feel like we're running into a board wipe if you do that, but I'm gonna upgrade Druid class and play this layer. Could play this Dryad, but I'm not going to. I feel like our board is gonna get wiped next turn. Oh, this... I actually can't attack. Yeah. Can't attack because of the 4/4, so... I was hoping to get in there with one creature and draw another card, but it's not possible. But that was a really good turn. We drew 8 cards with Cosima. Out of nowhere. Now we're looking for Hall of Storm Giants. Okay. I was also thinking about putting Tarask in here, right? The new green mythic legendary. But problem about Tarask is that it doesn't have trample, so we have the same problem with her as with our big man lands, that if you don't have trample, it's not adding anything to the deck, unless they're like except for the fact that it's, you know, hasty and has ward and everything. Now if he doesn't play another creature, we can get in here for a lot of damage by bringing the Druid class to level 3, and then we will have a 10-10 land or 11-11 land, something like that. Maybe blocking with the Cobra was wrong. Yeah, I probably should have kept the Cobra. Could play the Teachings here to draw some cards. Okay, so he's tapped out, so we are free to go. Okay. I think we have lethal here. First of all, we bring this to level 3, right? Make this forest an 11 left, and then make this one a 4/4 and win. Man, that was satisfying. That was really good. Hey there, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this kind of content and want to see more fresh decks and standard meta decks, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it, and I see you guys soon.